Good morning. It's Sunday morning coffee talk with the birth besties. I'm Michaela. That's
I'm
Crystal.
Crystal.
And we just wanted to clarify and talk to you guys this morning about how do you know how to get reliable information about birth? Where do you go? Are you confused? Do you see articles and the media portraying birth as some scary event, or do you feel confident when you open up a book or read an article on the internet?
Right. When your Facebook feed is full of some sort of news article or even maybe article that you're not sure where it came from and how it's been circulating, there's a lot going around recently. I feel like in the last week where my Facebook feed is full of these news articles, and they're very much fear-mongering about birth. I mean, they don't portray birth in a light that women can do this or women are capable. So that's very disheartening to me, and I think Michaela, because birth doesn't have to be scary, and it really matters where you're getting your info from. And news articles are very much like Hollywood. I mean, that's not where you go to get your how does birth work. You want to go to specific places.
I don't know a TV show or a movie that portrays birth like from Hollywood in a beautiful, as a beautiful. It's usually the mom is screaming and telling the dad she hates him, or, it's this like painful, crazy situation, or the water breaks and you have to race to the hospital. And so that, absolutely not the most reliable source of information.
No, but it affects how we view it, especially seeing it as children growing up. I mean, I think it affects as when you're a young girl and you're growing up and you're seeing this is the way it's portrayed. It's like, well, I don't want to do that. I can't do that.
Well, I think in general too, it's presented birth. Yeah, it takes away the power. It takes the media essentially takes away the power that the mom has in being able to give birth the way that our bodies were designed to. Not necessarily natural birth, but just with confidence.
Right. Without fear, without feeling like inadequate, or I can do everything else except give birth. That's what I feel like women are kind of, and girls are told, is you can be an astronaut and you can be a scientist and you can be a doctor, but don't give birth. Or if you give birth, you don't know what you're doing and you need all these people to save you.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd like to, make sure that you guys know that we are not anti-medicine. We're not anti, modern medicine helping in birth when necessary. But it's not always necessary. And a lot of these articles that are going around on Facebook or in the news make it sound like, without, this medicine or that medicine or this intervention or that intervention, mom and baby would have died. And that may be true sometimes, but reading between the lines in this article, it's just... it didn't meet
the story. They are trying to create media hype and create this, oh my gosh, something amazing happened and this baby was saved. And really, if you read the article, the baby was quite stable. The baby was fine, and would have been fine. No one needed to rescue her. But anyway, I think that the important thing is that we are trying to say that whether you give birth in a hospital or birth center at home or, next to your tent in the woods, we don't care. We just want you to feel like you've made the right choices. And that the other thing that's really important is that you understand that there are different paths to what you want. So, and that the media and people around, good morning, Amanda. We have Amanda watching. The media may not portray women as powerful beings who are able to birth. And so it's important for us to change that kind of cultural push where we give women back their power. And that's really what Honest Birth talks a lot about, is giving women their power and their voice.
And making you feel confident when you walk into your provider's office. So then, if the media is not the right place to get reliable information, there's so many different avenues out there, it's hard to distinguish what is the right place. For example,
right.
Ellen is doing current events in school right now. Well, it's scary. We can't just let him loose and, tell him, okay, find an article on this topic. Because one, they're not always accurate. Two,
right.
There's so much misleading information out there, and they all have a bias. Not all, but most of them have a bias. So we have
especially blog posts. Let's be honest. Blog posts are always portraying a certain side.
Right. And it's hard to relay information without a bias, but at the same time, there's so many different outlets for resources that it's kind of hard to figure out what are the most reliable, what is going to give you the most evidence-based, research-based information, limiting the biases, but instead portraying the actual facts. And I'd say one of those is scholarly articles, different articles that have run tests and lacking the word here.
Well, articles that are published on things like PubMed, that are research, they've been reviewed by a panel of researchers who deem that there is little to no bias in the research and that it's safe to publish. And then
they've done research. It's not just a matter of opinion.
Right. It's research based. Now, doing research, I did an entire research project for my master's, and it was based on previous people's research as well. So that's the thing about when you publish yourself, is that you're not just coming up with these ideas out of thin air. And so you're always going to cite your sources. So it's important that when you read either a blog or a article, on PubMed, that you read their sources too. So how did they come to their opinion? But that's really hard too for, I think, maybe people who are in the research field. It's really technical to read those type of articles, and it's kind of hard to pull out what are they saying. So if
the abstract, and I'm like, okay, I get it.
The abstracts are really good for getting an overview, and it tells you, what were the conclusions and how did we get here. But if you really get in the nitty gritty, it's kind of hard to decipher, well, what are they saying and what do these statistics mean? Because you have to really understand statistics to understand what they're saying. So I think that another great place to look is, Mikhail and I think agree on this, is a place like the ICANN organization, the Improving Birth, Evidence-Based Birth. So some of those places, and us, to be honest, that are really committed to spreading awareness of evidence-based information.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, what we get and what we present to you guys is all coming from those exact same places. We're not
reinventing
we have our opinions on things, and sometimes you hear that. But as far as, we're not medical professionals, but we have spent a lot of time doing the research and being in the environment, being in the birth world. And again, what's important to us is not to give you what we feel is necessary, but to give you everything so that you can decide what is right for you and your family, in regards to choices that you have during pregnancy and birth and even beyond. Let's face it, you still have to make some tough decisions about immunizations, how you want to feed your baby after you give birth, where you want your baby to sleep. There's so many decisions that come with parenting that, we can't necessarily prepare you for everything, but we can give you as much as we can, reliable sources, places to look, direct you in certain directions, and you can make your choices from there. So
speaking of, we've got 2 people watching. I don't exactly know who's watching, but if you are watching, is there any information that you thought was maybe fact about birth or pregnancy that maybe you've learned through more evidence-based that isn't, or something that scared you about childbirth that now is like, oh, that's not a big deal, or I realize that's not true? Because we always want to know, like, how do you guys feel? We see it from one way, but we aren't really in that space of being pregnant anymore and being new moms, because Michaela has 3, I have 4. So we might skim over some of those things that really might be something you're thinking about or you've seen on the internet and you're like, wait a minute, I feel like I'm getting 2 different stories.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a great question. Definitely take the time to give us some feedback on that, because we're not living pregnancy life right now.
Right.
I think one of the classes that I took where I was pregnant, I had my own questions during, my own course, because you forget when you're not in that, in that stage of life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's one more place that we should look? We said scholarly articles and, reliable, I guess, birth advocacy groups would be a really good way to categorize some of those things that we've just talked about. Improving birth, evidence-based birth. All those resources are really trying to change the paradigm.
Yeah. So I think I'm an avid reader, and whenever I'm looking for information, I definitely go to the internet, but I also like to go to the library or the bookstore, because I like to have things in my hands that I can flip to and reference and gain information from. And, there are so many books out there. For example, when I was pregnant and I had to go to a course on base, as soon as you find out you're pregnant, you go to this course, and they gave out what to expect when expecting. And my first pregnancy, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And I read that book every single day by day, and to find out what can I expect today. And, although it was a good book in some aspects, it wasn't always the most helpful.
Right.
So definitely books, again, that cite resources. Where did they get their information from? And, I have a list of books that we will put in the file section in our Facebook group of various different titles that you can go to for help on birth questions, breastfeeding questions, whether or not to have extra support people in your birth room, all sorts of different wide topics. So let's see, Amanda asked a question, or I've never given birth, so I'm just soaking up the information when I want to begin my family. Learning a bunch. I'm also considering being a surrogate for my friend after I've given birth to my own children. Wow. Awesome.
That's amazing. Wow.
You can never have too much information. I think I had a client, I think we've mentioned her before. She used to come to birth workshops and classes and expos and all sorts of stuff before she got pregnant. And she was one of the most prepared clients, but she took in all that information. She was able to make the choices that she wanted. And I think it's great. You can never start too early with gathering information.
Yeah, we're happy to help too. Anything we don't cover that you want to know about, even though you're not pregnant yet, it's always fun to talk and chat and see how we can direct you and help you along the way. And wow, that's really cool that you want to be a surrogate. Like that, mind blowing to me. I really applaud people who can do that. That's emotional.
I agree. So. Go Amanda.
Go Amanda. Yeah, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate having you watch and interact with us. So speaking of Facebook group, if you guys aren't in our Facebook group, you can comment below and we can send you the link to join. Definitely. She has a question. Here's a good question, something you've covered before. I can't see the rest of it. So. What
can women do to prepare for a natural at-home birth?
Oh,
great question.
Okay. It's a good question. So, well, finding a supportive care provider that you feel comfortable with, finding a doula, I think is really even more necessary in that home space of, you need someone who can really speak life when you're ready to give up, because there might be a moment where you're just like, I can't do this, but you absolutely can. Physical activity, mental preparation, mental prep. So a really comprehensive childbirth education course like we offer with the Honest Birth Talk or whatever kind of fits your space. And then absolutely a supportive person at home with you, your partner. And I want to touch on this again, physically being fit. I mean, keeping yourself low risk and healthy, and keeping your strength, because it's an athletic event that you're going to be performing at home that,
Definitely.
It's not as easy to say, I want this pain reliever or that, because you're in your home space. So, and it's absolutely doable.
Yeah. I think going back to keeping yourself healthy and low risk, there's a lot that goes into that. Your nutrition definitely helps. Now, we're not trying to tell you to go and, take all the cookies out of the house and never eat any sweets again. And, but definitely to be mindful of what you're putting in your body. Exercising, again, exercise doesn't need to be training for a marathon, running 20 miles a day, but just being active, moving, being active. And then education keeps you healthy and low risk. And then again, just to really harp on what Crystal said about being mentally prepared. It is so important that you believe in yourself and you believe in the process. So yeah, it's awesome. Yoga. Somebody posted yoga.
Yoga is very true.
So, yoga is awesome, and it's definitely a great way to gently, stretch your body, your muscles, and build strength and stamina. So,
yeah. So in your local area, finding some resources to stay physically fit. I know here in the Issaquah area is Fit for Mom, so it's Fit for Baby. So you go and you stay fit for baby. But those are some great ways. But I think that if you already know you are interested in a home birth, you're already getting there. You're already mentally in a different space than some. So good for you, and you will accomplish your journey. I'm a home birth mom and a C-section mom, so you can do either.
Yeah, exactly. It's exciting. It's exciting that women are asking questions and preparing earlier and earlier. Not everybody's having babies at 20 anymore. We definitely see a shift in moms having babies later in life, women having babies later in life. And one thing I'd like to mention real quick is sometimes, depending on the provider, they'll consider you high risk after the age of 35. But a lot of times, if staying healthy, staying low risk, knowing your options, being educated, you're not high risk just because of your maternal age necessarily.
Right. Your age, your number is not like a nail in the high risk coffin, so to speak. Like there's so much more to that story than I crossed over 35 and now I'm because if you're eating nutritious foods and you are active and you are technically low risk in every other sense, then
Yeah, exactly. So
we had a glitch.
Recycled.
Oh well, we're back. Okay. So let's see, when are we going to be back on? Thursday?
Yep, we will be back on Thursday and give you guys some more valuable information and give you a chance to ask more questions.
Yeah, and if you have questions in the meantime, we love when you guys post them because it helps us figure out what we should talk about.
Yeah, Exactly. So, all right, it is 9:50 here, so I guess I should probably get going for the day. So,
all right. Well, bye from the birth besties. We'll see you on Thursday.
Sounds good. Bye.